Bucko, mighty Bucko, hello, and welcome. Welcome to this talk called I Call It Witchcraft. Now, people like myself and our friend Lee from Veritas Vincent and a good company of others have always maintained and pointed out from the very beginning that we are dealing with a spiritual battle, a spiritual warfare raging between good and evil, between the power of the living God and the power of the devil. Even people that do not believe in the biblical worldview admit, when they're as a truther, that there is this spiritual conflict. They may not be able to define exactly who the combatants are and who these entities are, but they know. Deep down, we all know. It's real. It's 24/7. It don't go away. You can be on holiday, on a beach, enjoying the sunshine, and the spiritual warfare continues. Now, all of this came afresh to me with something that happened. I'm going to relate this story. And because we're dealing with relatives, family members whose names I do not want to bring up, I protect the identity, but I share the story, truthful story, so it is an illustration of the reality of this conflict. Sometime back, to begin with, there is a relative who lives within the area who is involved with our grandchildren. And this particular lady called one of the dogs, and because she had many dogs, and she called the name of one of these dogs, and these are big chunky dogs. She's always got the vicious type, the chunky ones, the ones that potentially could, given the right circumstances, trigger something to attack human beings. She named one of these dogs Crowley. Now, immediately I knew who that was, who she was making reference to. Aleister Crowley, the dark occultist. I filed it away in the back of my mind, and life goes on. And then in recent days, and I speak to you now in August of 2023, in recent days, another family member pointed out to us, have a look at this that I've seen on Facebook. What so-and-so has called one of the dogs. And he pointed out that the name she'd called this other dog, again of the chunky variety, was Lucifer. Now look, let me ask a question here a minute. What possible good could come from naming one dog Crowley and another one Lucifer? Now, even if you are a total materialist, that you only think there is no supernatural, there is no spiritual world beyond, that we're just material beings and when we're dead, we're dead. If you think like that, then obviously you would think, well, it's just a word. It's of no significance as such. And if that was the case, in actual point of fact, you'd be quite correct. But it's not. That's the problem. It isn't, is it? Now let me ask you, what possible good is going to come from calling? How many times does she call to these dogs? How many times in a given day in the house? Put it down, Crowley. Crowley, put it down. But drop it, Crowley. Drop it, drop it, drop it. Lucifer, come here. Lucifer, 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 Lucifer. Come on. Now look. To call the dogs after one of the most evil men in the world and the personalised name of the devil. Well, obviously no good. And of course, my worst fears were confirmed when one of the children within the house, the dog got the child by the head and began biting it. Now, thankfully, by the grace of God, our prayers, Jane, myself, Jane's mother, and all those who pray for us, your prayers heard in heaven. We were kept. It could have been so much worse, my dear friends. As you know, could have been so much worse. But thankfully, just a few bites that thankfully, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Now, if that was an isolated incident, one could almost, well, you can't dismiss it, but you know what I mean. But the problem is, within the greater context of things, these troubles have been hitting like, you know what I mean, like buses that run on time. We know they don't run on time. What I'm trying to say is, if they did, and when they did, they're like buses. Little break, another one coming. Little break, another one coming. Little break, another one coming. Problem after problem after problem. And because people like myself and Janie are the patriarchs, matriarchs of the family, organising, sometimes holidays, family holidays, get-togethers, celebrations, Christmas things, parties, barbecues. And when trouble hits, we're the first to respond, to visit, to help, to be there. But when you get in these continual body blows all the time, this happens, that happens, the other happens. And I don't want to go in to reliving all the other incidents, but take my word for it, they've been bad, ongoing. It made me realise this is the devil. Yeah. I call it witchcraft. Because one could say either this lady has a strong morbid fascination for the dark side, because who would call their dogs by such names? Or she's into something. And taking note of the various dark characters, and I say dark as in spirit, that drift in and out of the home, a group of people, makes me realise this could be sorcery, magic, witchcraft. And these things are real. They affect. They're not to be trifled with and messed about with. And not only that, have you ever thought, the devil may not like calling a dog after his name. I might come and slap you about just for the sake of it. How dare you use that? I'm telling you. Now, all that is the basis for what's coming next. So into that situation I read, and it stood out to me and jumped out at me in my reading, as my habit is in reading the ancient manuscripts, the Old and the New Testament, the Holy Scriptures. In the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 20, the Apostle Paul is talking about the individual battle between the Spirit and the flesh, between God's Spirit working in a person and the works of the flesh. Now, he lists the works of the flesh as this. Now, the works of the flesh are manifest, which are, and he begins with sexual sins, adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft. Wow. Witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness and revellings. He lists them. But there it is, witchcraft. And it made me think. First of all, by works of the flesh, as far as I can understand, the Apostle Paul is saying what is natural, inherited naturalness, inherent through man's fall and being born, every child born with a sin nature inherited the sin nature of man. So the natural things that come about, witchcraft, in defining it, what is? Let's not go into a great dissertation on it. Let's just boil it down in simplicity. Marty, what is witchcraft? I would say, in a simplicity, it's the simple desire to impose my will on somebody else to do my bidding, to control them by whatever means to get my will done. Naturally speaking, if we look at some simple illustrations, like, let's just look, and this is by no means comprehensive. I'm giving a few simple examples. You don't have to teach a little child to do bad, to be naughty. It leans that way. You've got to correct them and keep teaching them the good thing to do. We're like ducks to water, fallen man to sin. It comes ever so natural, ever so easy. A child, be it a baby or a toddler or a little one, can be a master manipulator, learning very quickly to set mummy against daddy, or brother against sister, to get their own way. A wife may do certain things to get the certain desired response from her husband. Or, I'm not saying this is all the time, I'm saying certain continuous nagging to wear him down, to capitulate and give in, to get her way. And likewise the husband, by his continual shouting, swearing, banging his fist on the table, breaking things, that people will tiptoe around him. He may even resort to violence because he's got the strength to get his own way. Now, is it correct or not? And likewise, what have we seen in the last 3 years with this pyramid of evil, this dark cabal behind, working through the politicians, the media, and all these groups to get their own way? Yes, they want, when they come out to speak to the public in their suits and their posh Eton voices, they would hope that you just take that because we've told you to take it. But those that don't, well, you were gonna have, we are gonna, you now listen here, you will be fine. You will be fine. You will have it whether you want it or not. Now listen to us. You won't go to the pub. You won't get in the supermarket. You won't. I call it witchcraft. What do you call it? There's another verse that appears in 1 Samuel 15:23. And it's this: for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. Now, in what way could that be the case? Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. Witchcraft is rebellion against God's created order. And witchcraft is the natural religion of fallen man. Wherever you go in the world, however it's dressed up, from the darkest forests of Borneo and the depths of the Amazon and witch doctors and voodoo, and or if it's dressed up druids and all these things, people have been, well, they've voted these people in, haven't they? Most of us don't vote because we see what's the point now. There's no point. You get the cult cabal leader, whether you vote green, blue or red, Tory or Labour, Republican or Democrat, you get the same cult person. While people were casting their vote, casting their ballots, these individuals casting their spells. And we've seen how it's worked, the people under hypnotic states. I think witchcraft, through the cabal, through this dark pyramid of evil, is making a determined comeback. And I leave you with a thought on imagine in the early days of the tyranny, when Johnson and Whitty and Vallance and Hancock, these characters came on in their suits to speak. Let's just do a little skit, as it were, of a retired couple sitting in front of their TV. Let's call him Fred. He's sitting there, watching the TV, and his wife Edna's doing him some toast in the kitchen. And on the TV, instead of these people coming on in their suits and ties, let's say they come on with the hoods, in the robes of dark occultists. So, Edna? Yes, dear. Is that toast ready yet, love? Yeah, it's coming. Did you want cheese on it? I don't know really. No, just butter's all right. Marge, love, will do. What are you watching, dear? Well, there's not a lot on really, but the news is come on. They're having what? Edna, come and look at this. What is it, dear? Where is it? That's our Boris there, isn't it? Is it there? Oh, what they got on there? What's that? What are these robes? It's not Halloween, is it? Is it? Oh, not yet, dear. No. Oh, yes, yes, it is them, isn't it? Oh, what have they got that on for? Well, maybe they're going to a fancy dress afterwards, dear. Well, maybe they've got no time to change, I suppose. Really. Why have they got red piercing eyes? I think that's the way it is when you take pictures sometime on your phone, dear. Something's wrong with the television and the light, the eyes go red. Oh, yeah. You got that toast, have you? Have you done a cup of tea, have you, love? Yeah, that's nice of you, thank you. Yes. Yeah, not a lot on. Shall we switch over, shall we? Yeah. Are you coming in now to join me? Yeah, sit down. Yeah. Be seeing you.